Hi everyone, this is how I went this week. So a little bit better this week. A few things went my way. So we'll get into it. So I've gone up in the ranks. We start off with Sheasel, 160. That's phenomenal. Had him as a VC option, and there's a reason why I went up in the ranks this week. So happy with him. Took the gamble and VC. It's probably North Melbourne's best player at the moment. And then you've got Whitfield, 133. So great stuff from Whitfield. He's been phenomenal last month. Happy with him. He's actually more expensive than Dacos. Who would have thought? And you got Dacos at 147, which is all right. Happy with that. So he's bounced back. And then we've got Nick Martin, 95, which is okay. Considering he got smashed. It's not insane, but he's been fairly consistent. Other than that, round one game, he hasn't had an absolute terrible score. He might have had one or two that are a bit subpar, but nothing crazy. And then Luke Ryan, 75. Disappointing. So he's actually dropped off the last month or so. I'm just not too sure what's going on with him. There's no point trading him at this stage. It's a bit too late for that. 75, it's not quite there. Everyone has him now, so it's not a huge problem, but it's a bit frustrating. And you got 91 from Houston, so again, a little disappointing from Houston. And then obviously no one playing on the bench, which is a bit of a problem. But as long as no one gets injured here, we should be fine. And on to the midfield, we've got Bontempelli, 109, which is just average. You got Butters, 98, which is average. Not that great either, but not terrible. And then Merritt, 106, just average. So wrong average. And Green, 102, average. So he hasn't really been consistent, Tom Green, this season. He's just dropped off too much in the second half. GWS are actually doing all right now. But it's still, he's not getting the 130, 140 as much as what he should be. I think he did all right. He's done all right last week, but this week it's not terrible, but it is what it is. There's nothing I can really do about it. But I was hoping he will just go to that extra level again this year, and he just hasn't quite hasn't done that. And that's largely due to, I reckon, after that, getting subbed out on the score of 5 a few months ago, is just sort of, I don't know, he isn't quite the same. Sort of like with Peter Wright getting that suspension. And then you've got Sam Walsh, 102. Just standard. Nothing amazing. He's been pretty average, to be honest. Other than like the first game back, he's been pretty ordinary. Walsh, I think he might have had 1 or 2 good games, but nothing crazy. And Jordan Dawson didn't play, so he got subbed. He was concussed, so he couldn't play, unfortunately. And he's probably been the biggest fraud that I've had since start of the season, to be honest. He's had 1 or 2 good games. He got 170, which sort of helped me get back to the pack. But other than that, he just hasn't really, been as consistent as some of the other midfielders. And then Matt Rowell, 97. So he didn't do too bad this week, but not that great either. He's really dropped off, and he's actually 400,000. He was 600,000 at one point. Imagine if you brought him in then, you would have lost over 200k. That's just been horrific. Hopefully he bounces back. He does have the potential. So they've got West Coast next week, so there's a chance he could have a decent game. Who knows? And then you had Dowling as an emergency, 69, which is okay. For a player of his, for a rookie price point, that's okay. At least it's like a 40 or a 50, just to say, because I've had a few of them lately, or even worse. And I traded in Carroll, just because, just for a little extra cash, and just have someone, who's either sub or who's, has a decent chance of playing. So yeah, I mean, it's probably not the best move, but there's nothing else I can really do at this stage. I need that extra cash just in case if Fisher doesn't play. I was hoping maybe I should bring in a Moore instead, and that would have been probably what better, 40. I don't know how much Moore got, but I'm not too sure if that made a huge big of an impact. But I just want to have that extra trade as well instead of using it. So I've got two, and hopefully Fisher plays next week, and I can chuck off Mana, and it will solve that problem. But that Fisher probably won't average. If he does play, we're not going to average too much more than Mana, to be honest. There, and then you got the rucks here. Gore 97 and English 83, so a bit underwhelming. A little bit frustrating, so I lost a few points to Grundy and Sherry. Some people had Sherry. I probably should have got rid of Gorn maybe a few weeks ago and bring in Sherry just for the points, but again, that's using up another trade. Yeah, I mean, I probably might even pick Sherry next year, I reckon, because he's going to be that, heading towards his peak age. I reckon it'll be a good selection next year, providing there's no injuries. And then Flanders been arguably the most consistent player this season. 141, yeah, phenomenal. He's carried Gold Coast a little bit. And then Zorko, 138. It gets better with age, Zorko. I can't think of a player at age 35 who's performed this well. Uni 82, a bit below standard. So he's dropped off the second half a little bit this season. Same with Sydney. I know they've got a few injuries, but it's still not particularly been great. And then you got Luke Jackson, 73. So yeah, disappointing round from him. And it's just difficult with you got Sean Darcy there for both of them. They're not going to maximise their potential in terms of Supercoach scoring. So I'm not too sure what they're going to do for Rio. Should they trade one of them to get, or maybe trade Darcy to get another forward? Who knows? And you got Charlie Curnow, 119. So he's bounced back again after there's a few week patch where he did terrible. Sort of kept Carlton in it, but he didn't do much in the second half. So he scored about 80 at half time. He was on 80, and then he just sort of dropped off a little bit, just like Carlton. They got smashed in the second half. So, I mean, that's a bit frustrating. He could have gone on 140, 150. Mackay's not there. So it's a little bit annoying because you need those little extra wins just to carry you over and get a better score, but it's not good enough. Well, it's just frustrating. It is what it is. I mean, he still hasn't got that 1 mega 140, 150 game thereafter, which is what I was hoping for. And then you got Mana 73. That's okay. Maybe he's hoping for a little bit more since they're playing North Melbourne. 100 would have been ideal. And then you got the Finch with Kruger and Fisher, which hopefully one of them will play next week just for backup, and maybe Fisher too. And he's playing Richmond too, which isn't really the best for a defensive role. Because North Melbourne's probably my favourite that game, to be honest. It's probably the only game I reckon North Melbourne will be confident in winning. Or to be favourite for. So hopefully he does play next week, because that's the only primo. Also we've got Dawson as well. So not too bad considering having a lot of injuries and players subbing out and being concussed and not playing in a week after. And it's been really irritating the last 6 weeks with my side. It's just gone pear-shaped with over trading and players weren't really necessary, and then players getting injured, and I just don't have that extra trades to cover them. It's been frustrating because I've had a few extra trades. I could have gone out a couple of weeks ago, then back at Sherry, and would have been a miles ahead on that. And same with Miller getting in Rosie or a Neil type or a Dunkley. It's just little things like that just panned out the way it is due to over trading players that weren't necessarily to keep in, and I knew weren't that great to begin with, but I did it anyway. And when I get my gut feel, I should have just told Grundy. Grundy, he's been good, but there wasn't really a need to get rid of him because he wasn't injured. It wasn't bad luck. It was just me being silly. I was hoping for Sweet to get a massive, huge price rise, or a bigger price rise than what he gotten. So there's little things like that I need to learn from. If there's nothing wrong with the player you currently have, don't get rid of him unless you need that urgent money. And I was sort of a bit greedy, but it is what it is. You take risks And it wasn't just that too. Mainly Miller as well, and just Dawson, who performed poorly the whole season, or most of the season, compared to last year. I mean, he's had a few good games, but there's not really much I can probably do going forward. I've only got 2 trades, still got around 30k. So I want a more clear update on Fisher. I'm not too sure when he's going to come back in. Hopefully next week. And same with Dawson. Who do Adelaide got? So they've got Geelong, which is going to be interesting. Well, not really, because Geelong probably going to win, but interesting they bring him in, I guess. And with North having Richmond, I mean, who knows with that game? It's a wooden spoon. It's like a pick one. Playoff. The winner, the loser will get the wooden spoon. I can't really see these two sides winning any more further games unless they're playing West Coast. So that's what it is there. So overall, been a disappointing season, and not my worst season, but it's just not as good as what it was compared to a few other seasons. And I was hoping to get in the top 5k this year, and this hasn't been. But it hasn't been an absolute disaster, and it was looking to be that at one point, where I was like ranked 60,000 after the first month, and I thought, this is just a train wreck. But did come back. But yeah, just the poor silly decisions and poor trading in options at the back half is sort of what killed me. Anyway, thank you for watching and have a great day.